Hey everyone, in this lecture I'm going to go over the programming assignment 1, kind of explanation what the expectations are. So as you can see, we have program 1. You are supposed to print this information or any information, it doesn't really matter, but it should be inside that box, of course using cout. And then the second one, you're going to put your initials. So if your initials are RM, it should look like this or something similar, or it doesn't really matter which character you're going to be using, asterisk, question mark, any character you like, as long as it shows like this. And then program number 3, basically you're just going to print text, again, using cout. So when you run the program, it shows, welcome to C++, welcome to computer science, programming is so much fun. And number 4 and 5, so about the calculation, again, using cout. So it will calculate this, expression or this statement. And number 5, for number 5, now, since in computer science we use PEMDAS, which is the order of operation, then if you apply it the way it is without making any change, what's going to happen is the program will divide by 4 first. So it will divide 85 divided by 4. Then and only then it will add 90, 80, and 75. But that's not what we want. We want the average, which means we want to add first, which means adding 75, 80, 90, 85 first. Then whatever the result is, you divide it by 4. And then you're going to get the answer. So, so what kind of changes we need to make sure we get what we expect? All right. Now for program assignment 2, so basically you are going to create variables. Of course, you have to go over the lecture first, so you understand what the variable is and the different data types that you can choose from. So you're gonna declare. Here, as you can see, we have 3 variables. We have the 4 variables. We have the length or the width, the height, the perimeter, and area. So it says write a program that displays the area and the perimeter of a rectangle. So you're going to declare a variable. Since it is 0.5, it has to be double. So double width equals 4.5. And the same thing for height. It should be double because we have 0.9. So you cannot use integer. And then you're going to declare also perimeter and area. Both of them have to be double as well. And then you do the formula. Number 2 is very similar, but this time about the triangle. So you multiply base by height, and then you divide by 2, or you just multiply by 0.5. Okay. Now program number 3, you're going to write a program that computes the tax and tip on a restaurant bill for a customer with a $100 meal charge. So you're going to prompt the user to enter a number. Actually, there's no, you don't have to. So you already have the amount, which is $100. So you're going to say the bill or the cost is $100. So if you have a tax, which is 8%, that means you multiply by 0.08. And then you add them up. And then on top of that, you're going to add the tip, which is 20% of the total. That means including the tax. And then you calculate the total. All right. So let me just make sure you get this one right. So I'm going to help you. Let me switch to Visual Studio. So as usual, you go to create new project. If you don't know how to create new project, there is a video that shows how to install Visual Studio and also how to create your first project using Visual Studio. So make sure you watch this video before you start with the assignment. So make sure it says empty project. Now here I already created a folder in desktop, or you can do it in anywhere, and then I called it C++ project. So all my assignments, all my files will be saved here. So I'm going to go empty project and I'm going to go next. Always, for every file, for every assignment, you follow these steps. So I'm going to click to show the location. Click on these three dots. As I said, in desktop, I created C++ project folder. So you can call it anything you want. But all my files, all my programming assignments will be saved here. So that's easy way to search or to find any assignment that you may be looking for. So I select this and then select folder. It's already selected, C++ folder. And then I'm going to call it, let's say, program 1, because that's the first program. Okay, then click create. Okay, so that's going to open an empty project. Okay, and then you're going to go right here under source files. So you click and then you right click and then go to add new item. And then I'm going to call it the same thing, program 1. Okay, add. So that's going to create an empty project. So we always start with this statement, include IO stream, and then we use using namespace std, and then int main, that's the main function. So all the code should be inside between these two braces. So in the first, let's switch to, so we are supposed to create this box. So remember that every line is a statement. Like the first line, all what we have is just dot, dot, dot. The second one is the same thing. And then the third line, we have two dots, you have space, then you have the text, whatever the name. You don't have to write this. You can write whatever information. It doesn't really matter what you put inside. And then there are some space, then you have the dots. So we're going to do something similar. So I always start with cout. Cout means display, and keep in mind that it has to be between double quote. It has to be string, so that's a text. And then I'm going to put any, it doesn't really matter. Let me use the pound key as my character. You can use anything you want. See that? And then I'm going to put end line. That means once you finish that line, start new one. So to save myself time, I'm just going to copy this. Let me just copy this. And then print it. See that? So when I run the program, it's going to show me these two lines. See that? So now I'm done with the first two lines. So close and then continue. So in the third one, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 2 pound keys, only 2, and then some space, and then whatever the name is, Maria Gonzalez or whatever the name is. Okay, and then space, and then end with 2 pound keys. Just make sure it is aligned. Okay, so now let me run the program and see how it's going to look like. Oh, I mean, because I forgot to close. So I'm going to close and end line always. Okay, now let me run the program, make sure it's aligned. So like you see, like the third one is not aligned. So I have to push the 2 pound keys to the left to make sure they are aligned. So I'm going to go right here and then make sure they are aligned. Okay, so now what about the fourth line? So the fourth line is the same thing, but you have the address. So it's the same thing, pretty much the same thing. Now you got the point. So I'm going to go cout, the same thing, and then 2 pound keys, some space, and then whatever the address is. I'm just going to put in, so Sky Boulevard, and then space, and then you put the 2 pound key. Again, make sure they are all aligned. So I'm going to go right here and then make sure everything is aligned. Okay, and then do the same thing. You close and L. That means the end of the line. So I'm going to just copy this because I'm going to copy it and then put the city and the states. So I'm going to put, for example, let's say Dallas TX. And again, make sure that everything is aligned. So now, when I run the program, you're going to see the box with the information in there. Always make sure if there's any change, like you can see that they're not centered. So I'm going to just have to push this a little bit. And then always make sure that the end also is aligned. The same thing for this line, make sure it is. And now since the last two are the same thing as the first two, so I'm just going to copy this. So I'm just going to copy this at the end and I'm done. So it's not that complicated. Make sure that there's no space in between. So that's it. I'm done with the first one. That's how simple it is. Okay? So that's all what you are supposed to do. Now for the second one, you're going to put your initials and the same thing. Okay? So the first line, always make sure that every line is a cout statement. Okay? So let's say, for example, my name is, let's say, El Melody. Let's say my initials is EL. Just an example. So all what I'm going to do, so let me switch to, you can either finish the same, I can just finish it in the same line. I don't have to, you can create a new file, but I'm just going to keep the same thing. So let's say EL, for example. So what I'm going to do is, so I'm going to put here EL. I'm going to use the same thing, which is the pound key. So that's the first one. And L, and then copy it. So get the second one. Okay, the third one, I'm not going to need all of this. I'm going to need only maybe like this one. That's enough. And then I'm going to repeat this. So I'm going to copy this. So depending on what letter you are trying to make. So I'm making L, so E first. So that's, I'm making one line at a time. Okay. Now the next one, I'm just going to repeat this. Copy. See that? Okay. And then finally, I'm going to go back to this line. Copy. So that's going to give me E. Okay. Maybe one more. Okay, and then finally, I'm going to end with this. So it don't have to be exact, as long as it looks like the letter, so it should be fine. So that's E, as you can see right here. Now, if I have L, I'm just going to finish it here. I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to make L. Okay, so I'm going to go right here and do the same thing. So, so I'm gonna go right here and then okay, and then from here go to the same spot and then repeat this. So I'm making L, and then right here you can do the same thing, and then okay, same thing right here. Okay. Right here. Okay. So continue with the same. I'm making, remember, EL. So I'm finished with E, I'm making L. So I just need to finish it all the way like this. And then at the end, I'm going to make two long ones. So right here, subspace. Once you get to here, then you continue. Okay, almost done. Now I'm done. I just need the last two. I'm gonna make a big one or long one. So right here, so you're gonna go all the way to the end. And the same thing for the last one, and I'm done. Of course, as I said, you don't have to be perfect. If it looks like L or E, that should be enough. So that's it. So that's EL, for example. So if I run the program, you're gonna see that these are my initials, for example, EL. If you need space, of course, you can. Let me add a little space between them. So right here, I'm gonna make some spaces by using and L a couple of times. And then I am done with the spaces. See that? So that's program assignment number 1. Done. Okay, number 3, you're gonna do the same thing between double quotes. You're gonna type welcome to C++, welcome to computer science. Programming is so much fun, but don't forget to put the double quote, because if you don't, then the program may think that each one of them is a variable. In this case, that you have to define them. So make sure you start with double quotes and you end with double quotes, just like what we did in the first one. Now for number 4 and 5, they're just normal operations. So I'm going to give you an example here of the operation that we use normally in C++. So for example, you can do all kind of operations. So I can put, for example, 4 plus 5. So that's going to give me 9. So just like a normal calculator. So you see, it's 9 in there. I can use and then keep in mind that we are applying the order of operation just like what you do in math. So the multiplication division comes first, or PIMDAS, parentheses first, and then we have the exponents, and then multiplication and division, and then finally the addition and subtraction. So for example, if I put multiply by 2, so you need to be careful that the multiplication will happen first. So that's 10. 5 times 2, 10. Then you add 4, so you're going to get 14. See that? So, in our program number 4, you're just going to put this, but don't put the double quotes because these are numbers. The program understand what the numbers are. So don't put double quotes, just put this, and then whatever the answer is, make sure you display that as well. Now for number 5, there is a trick, because when you divide, and that's something very important to understand. So when I put, let me put and L, when I put, for example, let's say 5 over 2. Now you may think that it is 2.5, right? But because of the way the computer stores the information, it does not show you the decimal. Why? Because if the first number, the numerator is the integer, and denominator is integer as well, then the answer will be integer as well. So if I run the program here, you're not going to see 2.5. So you're going to see only 2. Now somebody may ask, why? What about if I want that 0.5? Now we have a lot of choices. You can either change 5 to 5.0, so now it becomes decimal. You have to have at least one of them, either the numerator or denominator decimal. So here you're going to see we're going to have 2.5, no problem. So you have to change one of them, either 5, or you can change the bottom, which is 2.5. 2.0. So you're going to get 2.5. So keep that in mind, okay? Integer over integer is always integer. The only way you can get decimal is by changing one of them or by converting when you put double in front of the number inside the parentheses, so the program will understand that you are trying to change 5 to 5.0. So this would give you 2.5 as well. It's called casting. Okay? So now, in this example right here, or program number 5, so we are trying to calculate the average. Now, since the program follows PEMDAS, or the order of operation, so it's going to start with the division. I don't want that. I want to calculate the total first. So how can we force the program to add all the 4 numbers? By using the parentheses. So you have to use the parentheses first, okay? Parentheses to add 75, 80, 90, and 85. And then since it is an integer and you are dividing by 4, it is an integer, you're not going to get the decimal. So how can we force the program to get the decimal? Easy, divide by 4.0. 4.0. So to calculate the addition, to force the program to calculate the addition, let me put it here separately. So you have to start with parentheses. So let's say, for example, it's 50 plus 60 plus 70 plus 80. So this, using the parentheses, will force the program to start with the addition. Then you divide by 4. Okay? But here, if I divide by 4, I will keep only the integer. How can I force the program? By dividing by 4.0. I hope this explanation makes it easy for you to complete the assignment. If you still have more, please don't hesitate to let me know. Send me an email so I can help you. All right? Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.